Okay, well, I'm here with Stephanie Gonzalez, and she is a SPED teacher at my school at Central Elementary. And thank you for doing this. So I'm just going to go through some questions that you've seen. So the first question is, what is your current position and title?
I am a resource teacher at Central Elementary.
Okay. And how long have you been in special education?
This is going to be I just finished my 4th year, and I'm starting my 5th year.
Awesome. What called you to special education?
I started with art education. That wasn't calling to me, and I taught my niece. I tutored her, and she has an intellectual disability, so after that I kind of just felt like it was something that I could see myself doing.
Oh, that's very nice. Okay, what is your teaching philosophy? And I know you said you typed it up.
I did. So over the past 4 years, I learned that teaching kind of goes beyond just learning, and I have to focus on my students as a whole individual. I can't just focus on their teaching because in the specific area that we do teach, it goes way beyond that. So
Right.
I think I would describe my teaching as a holistic process in which an educator has to build a relationship with their students and understand their needs that they do have. So each student comes to the classroom with something different, and so then that's where I come in and I have to see what they need. And I know they do have a lot of things missing because they are SPED, but then I have to go and talk to the parents and see, how it's going on at home and what's going on. So I know I'm going to need to put some more effort into this before
Right.
I do start into teaching. And so I do believe a lot of Maslow's and his hierarchy of needs, and kind of just once those basic needs and psychological needs are met, then I can go into teaching and then build on their educational deficits and kind of help them have some more faith in them, because when I have them, now they know, that's stuff I can't do, so
True.
I have to go back and encourage them, it's going to be hard, but you can do it. I'm here to help you the whole way, so you don't have to struggle as much, and then once you get to the classroom, you won't have that struggle.
I never thought of it like that they are coming in knowing what they struggle with.
Yeah, so I tell them, we're going to work on this, and with reading, they're like, okay, we have to read, and they're like, I can't read, and I'm like, I know you can't, but we're going to have to,
Yeah.
so it's kind of, it's a little struggle sometimes.
Okay, so with special education increasing in demand, how do you meet the needs of all of your learners you work with? You kind of just said that.
Yeah, so one of the things besides kind of just their needs, it kind of also break them up into smaller groups besides grade levels and what their goals are, and then find students who have similar needs. So who are we focusing just on social skills, on math, and then what part of math and reading and writing, and then from there try to make smaller groups even
So
smaller.
it doesn't matter if they're in different grade levels, if they have the same needs, do you group them?
Yes, I do. It kind of makes life a little bit
easier.
easier.
Yeah, okay. Which disability do you feel like you are working with the most these days?
I think specific learning disabilities in reading. So that's reading fluency, basic reading skills, and reading comprehension. Reading in general, I feel like they have just the hardest time with. And it's hard to teach because it's abstract. Math, they can see it, they can feel it. Writing, you have to do it. But reading, it's letters, but it's the comprehension. It's so abstract, and it's really hard for them to get.
That's the class I just started is 8 weeks just on reading. Okay. What is your best moment with the student?
I have the hardest time with this question.
Really?
I have all my babies, so I couldn't really think of just one moment, but I feel like just that moment where you're actually just sitting down with them and not teaching. I know there's a lot of fun teaching, but when I just get to sit with them and talk with them, those are my favorite moments with my kiddos.
I like that too. What about, if you don't mind sharing, what has been your worst moment or something you've struggled with?
Behavior problems and meltdowns. I've had a lot of meltdowns, but I had one really, really big one, and that was last year, and well, not this year, the year before last. So got a window broken, and it was pretty intense. My parrot got hurt in the process too, so it was a very scary moment for me. So
that was before my time with you.
Luckily you didn't get to experience that.
Okay, here, let's see. Knowing it's not a one-size-fits-all situation, what are your most successful go-to instructional or behavioral practices?
For instruction, just concrete. Anything that they can touch and feel and interact, that's my go-to. I try to stick with that. And the behavior, kind of just letting them know what I'm expecting really helps. It's going to be consistent for everyone, and tell them from the beginning, this is what I expect from you, no matter what. And
yeah, that's good. How do you implement those in your classroom setting? Well, I think you just said that structure.
Yeah, structure, visuals, anything they can see and touch. That's my.
Okay, and I'm interested in what you have to say about this one. How do you present a concern to parents? So if a teacher comes to you and says, I think there's something going on, how
Right.
do you, if the parent hasn't come to you?
Well, I kind of feel like if I'm concerned with it, they've had to see it also. Like, they have to have some concern. So I always start off with, what are your concerns? What do you see with your child? What are you thinking? Like, do you have any problems at home? And then usually something always comes out. And then from there I go, hey, I've noticed that too.
Okay.
So kind of start with their opinion, how they feel, and what their strengths are for their child and what their weaknesses. And then you kind of agree. And then most of the time, if you're concerned, they'll also be concerned about it.
Okay. Do you collaborate with anyone besides the general education teachers?
It's just, also with the principal, I did a lot, the paras, and outside of, like, the other special education teachers in the district, there's always, my first year, it was me in my building, there was no one else, so
Oh, wow.
the teacher that I taught with, and then over another teacher, they were ready to retire, so they were always my go-to. I would call them an email and say, help, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's great to have them.
Yes. Do you support the inclusion of students with disabilities in the general education classroom?
I do, as long as that's the least restrictive environment for that student, and if the teacher has the support that they need to be successful. We can't just say, here you go, you figure it out. So as long as there's the right amount of support for the teacher, and that's what the student needs, and I think that's okay.
I'm sure the teacher appreciates that. I know I do. Do you feel that most general education teachers, that they support the inclusion and they're supportive?
I think it's just kind of the same, as long as they have the support they need and they know what they need to do, and it's not you figure it out on your own. Like, as long as everyone's supported and everyone agrees that that's what that student needs, then I think everyone can agree to it.
Yep, that makes sense. How well do you feel that the children accept classmates with disabilities?
Just going off of just center itself, I think everyone's pretty awesome to the kids.
Do too.
Like, everyone loves everyone, and I know everyone has a problem every now and then, but I feel like all my kids are usually included, and no one excludes them or makes fun of them. Everyone's pretty awesome.
I agree. I feel like they are good to everyone. Okay, so let's see here. Just a few more. How do you handle the stress from having to meet the students' needs, helping out the teachers? I know paperwork's a big deal, just all of it. Do you do something outside of work?
I don't think, work starts at 8 and ends at 4. I usually get there around, I start the year getting there at 7, and I usually don't leave till like 5 or 6. And then towards the end of middle, then I kind of start cutting it down, and I kind of try to be more efficient than anything. If I have downtime, I'm like, I'm going to get this accomplished, and I have checklists and color coding, and the more organized you are, the better I feel like.
Right, that's a long day.
It is, so you just have to be able to get it all done. Yeah.
And then I was going to talk about the paperwork. It's not a secret that a lot of paperwork is involved, so do you feel it keeps you from being as involved with your students or your ability to have your presence in the classroom?
I think it does, but at the same time, I still have to teach, so I have to figure out how. I can't just say, okay, you do this worksheet, and I'm going to go finish this IEP real quick, because my job is to do direct instruction.
Right.
So I know I have to get my paperwork done, but I still have to teach, so then I need to figure out a way that I need to do both, which is really hard, but that's what I do.
Okay. Where do you see the needs of special education going in the future? And then I just put, do you think it's going to be increasing, more involved in the general ed classroom?
I do see it is increasing because of qualifications, but I also feel like I think there's just a lot of needs that aren't being met in the classroom, and things are changing. So I feel that just kind of focusing on going back and seeing if that child does need specialized instruction, or if it's just another need that's being met.
Do you feel like you're getting more and more students?
I do.
Yeah.
I do feel that we are getting a lot more students. So kind of just going back to trying to see if they do qualify for special education, what they need, if it is different instruction, or if it's just a 504 and they just need a modification or accommodation.
Okay, and then finally, oh no, I've skipped a good one. If you were granted any type of extra support, price didn't matter and they
Right.
wouldn't even ask you, what would it be? And I just said, would it be another para, an assistant for paperwork, just more time?
Mine's just time. I wish I just time. There's like never enough time.
Yeah, there
For
isn't.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, what advice would you give to someone like me who is interested in the field or is going to be new to the field?
I think just taking the time to organize and getting things done. It's really hard. Like when you're creating something, it's going to take you forever, but once you have it done, it's done. And it's there all year, like making charts or laminating and velcroing charts and schedules. It takes a really long time, but when you have it done, like it makes the biggest difference. And then just going crazy and color coding. Like I have a great
I'm
color
gonna have
coded,
to check out
like
the color coding.
everything. It's gonna take a while, but when you have it done, then you have it, and then you don't have to do it again. So just taking time to organize.
Well, it sounds like you have good systems in place. I'm gonna have to check out. Okay, so those are all of my questions. Thank you for meeting with me, and
You're
then
welcome.
I'll do my reflection later.